caught my wife cheating. After 17 years of marriage, but I focused on myself while she struggles to get by. She tried to come back, but I slammed the door and told her I never want to see her again, and you won't believe what happened next. My name is Ranga, and I'm from a small town in Indonesia. I never thought I'd be sharing this story with the world, but here I am. After 17 years of what I thought was a happy marriage, I discovered that my wife, Intan, was cheating on me. It was a gut-wrenching experience that turned my world upside down. It all started innocently enough. I was cleaning out the garage one weekend when I stumbled upon an old shoebox tucked away in a corner. Curiosity got the best of me, and I decided to open it. Inside, I found a collection of love letters and photos that were definitely not from me. My heart sank as I realized that Intan had been seeing someone else. I confronted her that evening, and the look on her face confirmed my worst fears. She didn't even try to deny it. Instead, she broke down and admitted to everything. She'd been having an affair with a colleague from work, someone named Budi. The betrayal was like a knife to my heart. "Why, Intan? After everything we've been through?" I asked, my voice shaking with anger and pain. She couldn't meet my eyes. "I don't know, Ranga. It just happened. I never meant to hurt you." But the damage was done. Our marriage was over, and there was no going back. I felt like a fool for not seeing the signs earlier. The late nights at the office, the secretive phone calls, the sudden interest in her appearance. It all made sense now. The days that followed were a blur. I moved out of the house we had shared for so many years and found a small apartment on the other side of town. The emptiness was suffocating, and I struggled to find a sense of normalcy. My friends and family were supportive, but nothing could fill the void left by Intan's betrayal. One night, as I sat alone in my new place, I decided that I wasn't going to let this break me. I had spent too many years living for someone else. It was time to focus on myself for a change. I started by hitting the gym, something I had neglected for far too long. It felt good to work out my frustrations and see my body change for the better. I also threw myself into my work. As a software engineer, I had always been good at what I did, but now I was determined to be the best. I took on new projects, stayed late at the office, and pushed myself harder than ever before. It was exhausting, but it was also exhilarating. I felt like I had a purpose again. Intan, on the other hand, was not doing so well. She had moved in with Budi, but their relationship was far from perfect. I heard through mutual friends that they were constantly fighting, and that Intan was struggling to make ends meet. Part of me felt a twisted sense of satisfaction, but mostly, I just felt sorry for her. Months passed, and I was starting to feel like myself again. I had even started dating, though nothing serious. I was enjoying my newfound freedom and the chance to rediscover who I was. But then, one evening, there was a knock on my door. I opened it to find Intan standing there, looking worn and desperate. "Ranga, can we talk?" she asked, her voice barely above a whisper. I hesitated. Part of me wanted to slam the door in her face, but another part of me was curious. What could she possibly have to say after everything that had happened? "Fine, come in," I said, stepping aside. We sat down in the living room, and she started to speak. "Ranga, I made a huge mistake. Budi and it's not working out. I realize now how much I hurt you, and I'm so sorry. Can we try to fix things?" I stared at her in disbelief. "You think you can just waltz back into my life and everything will be fine? You shattered my heart, Intan. There's no fixing this." Tears streamed down her face. "Please, Ranga, I've lost everything. I just want to make things right." But I had made up my mind. I had spent too long trying to pick up the pieces of my life to let her back in and risk it all falling apart again. "No, Intan, we're done. I never want to see you again." With that, I stood up and opened the door, signaling for her to leave. She looked at me one last time, her eyes filled with regret, before walking out of my life for good. I thought that would be the end of it, but life has a funny way of throwing curveballs when you least expect them. A few weeks after Intan's visit, I received a letter in the mail. It was from Budi, of all people. Ranga, I know you have no reason to listen to me, but I need to tell you something important. Please meet me at the coffee shop on Jalan Merdeka tomorrow at 3 p.m. I debated whether to go, but curiosity got the best of me. The next day, I found myself sitting across from Budi, the man who had ruined my marriage. He looked just as worn as Intan had. Thanks for coming, Ranga, he said, his voice strained. I know I don't deserve your time, but you need to know the truth. I raised an eyebrow. What truth? He took a deep breath. Intan and we were both wrong. She told me about your conversation, and I realized I needed to come clean. You see, Intan didn't just cheat on you with me. There were others. I was just the latest in a long line of affairs. The revelation hit me like a punch to the gut. Why are you telling me this? Because you deserve to know the whole truth, and because I want to apologize. I thought I loved her, but I was wrong. She's manipulative and selfish. She used me just like she used you. I didn't know what to say. Part of me was furious, but another part of me felt a strange sense of relief. At least now I had some closure. In the months that followed, I continued to focus on myself. I traveled to places I had always wanted to visit, made new friends, and even started my own tech company. Life was good, and I was finally at peace with what had happened. Intan tried to reach out a few more times, but I never responded. I had moved on, and there was no place for her in my new life. She eventually gave up and faded into the background. As for Budi, he left town shortly after our meeting. I heard he was trying to start fresh somewhere else, and I wished him the best. We were both victims of Intan's deceit, and I hoped he could find happiness too. Looking back, I realized that discovering Intan's betrayal was the best thing that ever happened to me. It forced me to take a hard look at my life and make changes I had been avoiding for years. I was stronger, wiser, and more determined than ever before. So, to anyone out there going through something similar, know that it does get better. Focus on yourself, find your strength, and don't let anyone dim your light. Life is too short to be anything but happy, and that's my story. Thanks for reading.